Hello, everyone, and welcome to another First Impression Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jasmine Pollock. We have a great show for you guys, so let's get started.
Welcome to Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports talk show in the country. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And to kick the night off, we're going to talk about my Green Bay Packers beating the Cowboys. So let's bring in my dad. Let's bring in Jeremiah. Before we get into the conversation, I got to show everyone this. You guys see that? Yeah. How about them Cowboys? So now I want to say something real quick, y'all. I did not think we were going to win that game yesterday. I was so scared. I was like, man, we're on a 5-game losing streak. The offense is falling apart. The defense is teetering. I was just so worried. But Jeremiah, I'm going to start with you because you said the Packers are going to win this game. And you said the Cowboys were going to do Cowboy things. So what was your reaction to us winning in overtime?
Well, I would just say the Cowboys gave the Packers so much air room to squeeze back into this game just from the jump and going into this overtime. Exactly, like so many chances that the Cowboys had and doing Cowboys things, like I always said, because literally they are at a third down. You know, that one wasn't called a pass interference because, you know, they're not going to be decided by the refs when it comes to overtime. But you go for it on fourth down instead of taking the points. That's just the theme of the day when it comes to overtime, not taking the points. And I feel like that costed the Cowboys at the end of the day. And then what Green Bay did, they took advantage of that. They already drove down the field. You gave them momentum because how you guys were playing in that already in that fourth quarter where you let Aaron just air out the ball and you let Aaron Jones, he was just killing them on the field. And like I said, I don't trust Dak, and I sure don't trust McCarthy when it comes to anything at the end of games. You've seen inside the playoffs. You've seen it over the years and over the years every time. And at the end of the day, the Packers, they got life back into them, and hopefully they can carry it on for these games to come.
Yes, hopefully we can. I still have some glaring things that I want us to fix, but that was a big win against a team that is considered a contender. Like we talk about the Cowboys, them being a contender and them being a team to be in the NFC East along with the Eagles. So for us to go in there with everything, no one picked us to win this game. I mean, no one picked the Packers to win this game. We were 5-point underdogs in this game, and I'm just really proud of our guys to battle it out. That was the best game I've seen us play all season, where we stood in there. Aaron didn't get frustrated. We saw him get irritated with the coach a little bit, but he stuck with his guys and they played. That's what I wanted to see. And defensively, we made plays when need be. But the biggest thing is Christian Watson, our second round pick. Now, the whole season has been about, can the Packers receivers be consistent? Can they have one of those breakout games? And this was his breakout game. He had 3 touchdowns for 107 yards on 4 receptions. 4 receptions, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns. I was just amazed about what he can do. And the problem was, I'm not afraid of our receivers getting down the field because they can fly. I mean, he ran a 4.2 at the combine. It was just, can he catch the ball? Can he be consistent? And that now you gave Aaron confidence in you. Now we're going to see him be featured a lot more. They use him a lot with jet sweeps. So I was really happy about that. Defensively, we took the ball away when we needed to. In that fourth quarter, we held Dallas to only a field goal in that fourth quarter, and I was really happy about that and how we stayed together. We stayed poised and made the right plays. But for Dallas, their defense, I heard this defense was the best defense in the league. I don't think they were. They weren't even. I didn't think Dallas was a top defense anyway, because what I looked at, they're number 1 in the league in pressuring the quarterback. But what do you do to stop a pass rush? You run the ball. I've been saying that all year. No, our running backs have been averaging 8 yards a carry throughout the season. But all of a sudden, we finally said we're going to stick with the run. We ran more than we passed it yesterday. And I think that's the recipe moving forward for us to stay within these games and hopefully turn the season around. So, Dad, for you, what was your reaction to the Packers winning, and what does this say about Dallas?
Well, first, I'll say the Packers. You gotta really take your hat off to Aaron Jones. I mean, this guy had 138 carries. I mean, 138 yards off of 24 carries, 5.8 yards, almost 6 yards a carry, and one touchdown. To me, that's the biggest difference in the game because that opens up your play action. That really brings those safeties and linebackers down. So I think that's the biggest story, and that is going to be the recipe to add balance to that offense. Because everybody knows that Aaron can air it out, but in order for those guys to get free like that down the field, you got to get some of those safeties down in the box to try to stop the run. And obviously, they didn't do a good job because not only that, you had AJ Dillon, 13 carries for 65 yards, so he had a 5 yard average. So that's pretty good from the running. And what does that do? That shortens the game, and that also really gives your defense time to recuperate because you're kind of putting together some drives. Now, as far as Dallas goes, I I still think Dallas, even though I'm not a Dallas fan, but I still have to give respect where respect's due because they were up in that game. Now that game, even though down the stretch they made poor decisions, that to me is the biggest difference with them right now is their game planning, their schemes, and what's Dallas's identity? Are they a passing team? Are they a running team? What's their identity? Because they were in position to win, but then down the stretch, they made decisions that made you scratch your head. So Dallas still has some growing to do, and they got to figure out what their identity is. I mean, they're still 6-3. I
Yes.
mean, but they got the next couple games going to be tough because I believe it's the Vikings and the Giants, and
Yes.
so
They
that
go
could
to
really.
Minnesota.
Absolutely. So them not getting this win, they can really be in the hole coming out of this 2 game stretch. So we'll see what Dallas is here. In Dak, hey, he's making big money. So we're gonna have to see what that's gonna be here because he's healthy. So now we got to take a look at what Dak's going to be here the next couple of games, whether he's going to find a way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Dad, because when I look at Dallas' schedule, now I know we play the Titans at home, in the cold, but I think we could do something against Tennessee. I'm really excited about that game, even though Derrick Henry's gonna, what he does to defenses, so we got a game plan for that. And even our coach, Matt LaFleur, he spent the night yesterday at the stadium. Like that's how much he's like, man, I need to get this team turned around and different things like that. So that was pretty interesting. But to Dallas, I don't see them beating Vikings. I don't. Based off of what I saw from the Vikings against the Bills, and we're going to get into that game in a few minutes. But how Dak played yesterday, you cannot go to Minnesota after they just had a victory against the Buffalo Bills, who everybody raves about. And I told everyone about this team, but we're going to get into that later. But Dallas's defense has to fix their run defense. They're number one in pass rush, but they are poor at defending the run. The back end can hold up pretty much, so we thought, until Christian Watson happened. But when I look at Dallas right now, defensively, their strongest component is rushing the quarterback and pressuring the quarterback. It's not good that you're going to be playing against Dalvin Cook, how he rushes the ball, how they rush the ball, and then who's going to be put on Justin Jefferson. Because we saw what Justin Jefferson did yesterday to a Bills team. Then we're going to see if his brother is going to be guarding him. That's not going to be good because we know he likes to bait a lot, and Justin Jefferson will get behind him. And then when I look at Dallas's offense, they have to run the ball the same with Tony Pollard. Dak cannot sit back there and just pass the ball like that because he wasn't as efficient like he was before. He usually is. But, I want to say something. So Skip today, he said he misses Cooper Rush. I don't know if Cooper Rush would have won you that game. I don't know. We'll never know. He's a backup for a reason. But like you said, Dak is getting paid a lot of money. I think this is a do or die year for Dak right now. We talk about other quarterbacks, but for him, this is his do or die season because with everything like how it's shaped up, you're playing in a division where no one expected this division to look the way it does because it's hot. I mean, all teams look hot, but it's time for Dak to take that next step and say, you know what, let's win this division because the Eagles are hot. They're playing right now against the Commanders. And then you got the Giants, who no one saw coming. The Giants only lost 3 games as well. So there's a lot of things going on that Dallas has to look out for, and these teams are getting better. So Dak has to turn this around. But I'm going to head into the Vikings and Bills game. That game was chaos. Jeremiah, we watched that game from first quarter to overtime. That game was chaos. Josh Allen is out of the MVP race. He is officially out. After last week's game and yesterday's game against the Vikings, he now leads the league in red zone turnovers, interceptions specifically. So, Dad, I want to start with you. What was your reaction to Josh Allen's play and how it affected them? How is this going to affect this team heading into the postseason?
Well, now, I mean, if you look at it from what Josh Allen is supposed to be and what we all believe he can be at some point, it seemed like in these big game situations, he's starting to unfold. I mean, I don't know the team, I mean, 330 passing yards,
Yeah.
but the big eyesore is 2 INTs. So you look at that, they didn't have a bad day rushing the ball.
Oh, no.
And it's like they were up in this game, should have ended the game way early, but he's probably single-handedly took that team out by himself. Just mishaps, the fumble snap in the red zone, when they got the stand, when they stopped him there in the red zone.
Yeah.
And one of the things like that has something to do with the coaching as well. What's your play scheme? What's your play call in a situation like that? You get him stopped. What's your play call? I mean, do you not trust him? Do and they snap the ball, but he's got to handle the ball.
Yeah.
So to me, you got the 2 INTs plus a fumble. So that's 3 turnovers that you more than likely, and that turnover resulted in a touchdown, which swung the game.
Pivotal moment in the game.
Yeah, and you gave them, it was a very easy touchdown.
Yes.
So for me, that the Bills have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to clean up the mistakes, because they still, if you look at it, they're still a dominant team. It's just the mistakes that are killing them. So to me, I still believe that they'll be somewhere around there, but they have to really tighten up whatever they got going on. And here's the thing. What is the coaching going to do? Okay, Josh Allen is seeming to have some issues this year with turnovers. So what can we do to slow that down? Are we going to add in more screens, short passes, more runs? What are we going to do to help him out? Because sometimes we get caught up with wanting to throw it all over the yard. Sometimes we have to relax and say, hey, there's nothing wrong with you dinking and dunking a little bit. Just slow down and get your rhythm, and then start taking those shots. But I really don't know, because they have the team that could go far. It's just they can't have these self-inflicted wounds.
But I'm gonna say this, Dad, about the Bills before I go to Jeremiah. When I talked about the Bills before, they're talking about this team as being the Super Bowl favorites. That's when they signed Von Miller, they were saying, "Oh, this team is the number 1 everywhere."
If they don't turn the ball over, they will be.
Yes, I told you guys, their secondary is suspect. What happened to their secondary yesterday? What happened? What did Justin Jefferson do to them? Adam Thielen, Hutchinson, who was the tight end for the Vikings, who they traded for from the Lions. Look what they did to them in the secondary. Von Miller and those guys were not getting home like they were supposed to. They were not. There were some instances they did, but they let Kirk Cousins sit back there, and you got playmakers down the field, and then you let Dalvin take off for, I believe it was 68 yards. That's not a Super Bowl defense. That's not how that works. So when I look at the Bills, on both sides, the Bills have some glaring issues. Josh Allen, I think they give Josh Allen too much leeway. They give him too much of the green light instead of saying, hey, let's take some points. Let's live another down, live another play. I'll give you an example. One of the plays on 4th and 2, early in the third quarter, you're up 14 points. Why are you going for it on 4th and 2nd, or 4th and 2nd, when you're in the red zone, when you could just kick the field goal? Simple. Why did you go for it? And you throw a pick in that, and guess what? The Vikings end up scoring. That is a problem. They need to stop giving him so much of the green light and say, let's take high percentage plays. Let's do things. And now when we look at this division, the Dolphins are now leading the division. It's Dolphins at 7-3, the Jets at 6-3, Bills are 6-3, and Patriots are 5-4. The Bills are in third place now. That is not good, especially if we're talking about them being a contender. And Dad, I told you, if the Bills do not fix what needs to be fixed, and if they don't get the number 1 seed, I don't see them going to the Super Bowl. So, Jeremiah, to you, what is your reaction to the Bills before we go to break? What is your reaction to the Bills? And what does this say about a Vikings team that has came back the second time this week? Their second time this season. They've come back from behind again and rallied and end up winning the game.
I think it shows just the grit of how the Vikings are. Because many people out there, had their questions about the Vikings, especially coming into this game, because I wasn't really sold on. I'm still not really that sold on Kirk Cousins because he still makes some Kirk Cousins moves, but at the same time, he made the right plays when it counted, putting the ball placement right in Justin Jefferson's hands when it came to driving down the field, especially in that overtime, and just getting down the field. You work with momentum, also with Cook. They have a good team going forward, and plus that defensive line that they have, they can get at Josh Allen, and they can get a lot of different offenses that comes their way. And going down the road, I think that the Minnesota, they can be a good playoff team. Oh, and did you guys even know that Josh Allen, he is 0-5 in his last overtimes?
Yes,
that's the big.
He is not good in overtime at all.
That to me, that is very questionable going forward, because that's things that a lot of teams can pick with when it comes to going playoff time, because it's no question that they are contenders, but when it gets to playoff time, that's when stuff really matters.
I agree, and I hate to say that because I'm a Packers fan, so I don't like anything about this, but that's okay. But the Bills have to fix it because the division is tight in the AFC East. Like I said, I went down there. The Dolphins, Jets, these are not sleeping teams. And then the Patriots are above 500 team. They're winning. So it's not going to be easy for the Bills. It's not going to be easy. But that wraps up the first segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins being red hot. We're going to talk about the Steelers will make the playoffs, even though Jay and Nicole may not agree. But we're going to talk about those teams. We'll be right back for a short break.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep, off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear, because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
You're watching Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk. Be sure to join Jasmine every week for great conversation on the NBA, NFL, and a wide variety of sports topics. To see past episodes of First Impressions Sports Talk, go to YouTube and search First Impressions Sports Talk. You can connect with Jasmine on LinkedIn by searching Jasmine Pollock. And now, back to more First Impressions Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk, and the voices you just heard were Riley Johnson and Dion Hunter. If you like voiceover work done for your projects, you can go to leonthomasgroup.com to get in contact with Leon to get voiceover work done. If you'd like to be a guest on my show and see past episodes of my show, you can go to my website at jasmineonsports.com. Now let's get into the red hot Miami Dolphins. I mean, this team's offense is flying. Like I predicted the beginning of the season that this team, they're going to fly, especially with Mike McDaniel's play calling and what he's doing with the offense. I'm really excited for the Dolphins, and Tua is having a very efficient season. If he hadn't missed those 3 games, guys, I think this would be an undefeated Dolphins team for sure, because it seems like no one has the answers to this Dolphins offense. They just don't have an answer. You got all the speed across everywhere. You got Jalen Waddle flying down the field. Of course, you got Tyreek. Of course, you got Gesicki at tight end, Cedric Wilson. You got a bunch of guys just flying everywhere. So, Jeremiah, to start with you, what is your reaction to the Dolphins and how they look now? Can the Dolphins have a deep playoff run?
I think a deep playoff run. I have to see how they do when it comes to this December, when it comes to their cold weather, because everybody is saying, what can the Dolphins do, in the cold weather? Because they're like, we had the fall weather and everything else, and we're flourishing right now. But in the winter, we also had some struggles back then. But I feel like we can go forward with this team that we have right now. Getting a big additions to our defense, not to mention our running backs, which last game, Tyreek Hill and Waddle was even big factors in the last game against the Browns.
No,
it was Wilson Jr. Jeff Wilson Jr. that we got from the 49ers, of course, Mozart, and of course this undrafted Sherman, a new player that we have this year. Tua's putting the placements to him, and he had a huge game, going off. And I just felt like Miami, they're working with a bunch of gas right now, and they're really moving it in a great forward direction. Tua has gone over like 300 yards in these last 3 to 4 games, which is very impressive to me. And I just feel like as the time goes on, they have a bye week right now. They're going to have Houston coming back. But then, the schedule is going to get a little steep when they go against the Chargers. And then they got to go against the 49ers, which I feel like it should be a Sunday night game. But and then you're going to have Patriots and, of course, Bills. So
and the Packers.
And, of course, the Packers on Christmas Day. But however, I think that this team has a lot of firepower going forward.
Yeah, when I look at the Dolphins, I'm really excited. It's been a long time coming. I mean, the Dolphins, we've been waiting to see this team make that turn and make that transition to a competing team, and now they're leading the division, and there's no fluke. Tua's playing at a high level, and Tua should be in the MVP race. He needs to be. He leads the league in passer rating. He leads the league in efficiency. He leads in all of that, and then he's putting the ball in the right place. He's not turning the ball over. He's and Mike McDaniel's play calling, remember,
yes,
he was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers along with Kyle Shanahan. Those minds, their offensive minds, how they were able to coach that team, and now he brings that philosophy to Miami with all that speed. It's going to be hard. It's hard to defend a team like that. It's hard to do that. And then defensively, you add Bradley Chubb from the Broncos. He's starting to be a big factor. I mean, I'm really excited for the Dolphins. But, Dad, to you, when we look at, let's go back to this AFC East division. Like I said, Dolphins, Jets, Bills, and Patriots. What is your thoughts on this division? We were thinking the AFC West was going to look like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, with the Dolphins, they are looking good. I still have to see the Dolphins down the stretch. They look pretty good because this is still new. It's a new thing for me. I have to see Tua down the stretch. I will say that I would caution everyone in that division to pay attention to the Patriots and what's happening very quietly with them. Because if the Patriots start to find a way to put some things together and they're efficient like they usually are, or they used to be in the past, we could be, looking at a team that could be a problem down the stretch. So, and that's one thing about a team when you take the spotlight off of them and now they can operate, and you take the expectations away. Now they're able to operate without all the extra added pressure.
Right.
So I would say you got to watch them. I do think the Dolphins have to be the favorites right now. I do want to see. So Tyreek didn't have a big game. The top receivers didn't have a big game yesterday, and they still pulled it out, albeit against the
They
Cleveland
dominated.
Browns. Yeah, and they still pulled it out. So to me, that's a good sign of their resiliency and the fact that they're not afraid to utilize other people because as you get deeper in the season and actually if they get into the playoffs, they're going to really try to figure out how to take Tyreek out of the game because they know that's who he wants to throw to.
Mm-hmm.
So the tight end is going to have to step up. The other guy, and a lot of times when you have dominant number one receivers, you usually have the second option turns out to be pretty good. Another
Waddle, yeah.
case would be like Juju Smith used to be in Pittsburgh. His production was really high because who did he have on the other side? It was Antonio Brown. When Antonio Brown left, his production really went down. So I think this is a good time for the others to start to step up.
Yeah, I agree, Dad. When we look at the Dolphins, let's just go down their weapons. Of course, Tyreek, then Jalen Waddle, then Gesicki at tight end, then Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys. Then we look at the other guys that you mentioned, Jeremiah. Their names are escaping me though, but those are the teams right there. Then we look at the running back core. They can run the ball. I mean, you have Moisture, you have who else,
Jeff
Jeremiah?
Wilson.
There's other, yeah.
Jeff
Wilson.
Wilson that we just got from the 49ers with the trade.
And
he was your leading rusher yesterday. Wilson was 119 yards.
When you look at it, you see Mike McDaniel is taking 49ers players from there.
They literally
he coached these guys. So you add that to the mix, plus you have two dominant wideouts outside. It's gonna be tough to defend this Dolphins team, and nobody has been able to. They find a way to win every time. If they're double teaming Tyreek, Waddle's going to have a big game. Waddle is just as fast. I mean, Waddle can catch. Waddle is one of those guys that you just cannot let go down
and
the
Jasmine,
field.
You saw that they had 0 sacks on Tua yesterday and 0 punts yesterday. So that is going just in a great direction as far as,
Right. And when we look at it too, Gesicki, he's one of the good young tight ends that we have. I mean, he will catch anything, and that's why I said even when the Dolphins played the Bills previously, I was saying they're starting to guard Tyreek and Waddle. I was like, this has to be Gesicki's game. And what did they start doing? Gesicki caught a touchdown. He started eating them up in the middle. They're going to be a problem headed to playoff time, and I'm really excited because the defense is starting to click. I know the defense has had a lot of injuries. I think the top two corners are down right now with injuries, but they should be back. So when you get the Dolphins fully healthy, this team is going to be very scary. And how I look at it, they already beat the Bills. And the only games they lost was Tua was not playing. I mean, that could be a big deal when you got somebody like that and Tua's on fire. He was on fire before he got injured. And I wish they handled that situation a lot better. But the Dolphins are going to be scared. But, Dad, when you said the Patriots are 5-4. They are 5-4. They have a quarterback that can deliver. They have a running game. They always have a running game and running backs they can pass to. Their defense is good. They have receivers. Watch out for them. I mean, it's still Belichick. Belichick knows how to coach this stuff. I mean, still watch out for the Patriots. This whole division looks scary. Jets. Quarterback, I'm questionable about Zach Wilson. It's the consistency with him, but they're 6-3. So I mean, they beat the Bills too.
Their defense is crazy.
Their defense is insane. And guess what? Their coach, it was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. So I mean, it's all a well-rounded thing. So watch out for the Jets. Defensively, they're scary. But this whole division is going to go down to probably the last game. But let's go to the Steelers. Now, the Steelers are starting to creep. Now, our producer, Jay, he's a big Steelers fan. Also, one of my guests, Cole, they're big Steelers fans, and they have their doubts about them. However, the Steelers do find a way to win. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, and they beat up on the Saints yesterday. So, Dad, to you, what do you see with the Steelers? Can the Steelers turn it around? I believe they can. They always find a way. They always find a way to sneak in.
Well, so with the Steelers, to me, the Steelers, it all centers around defense. what is the Steelers' identity right now? What are because the last few years we've had a hard time figuring out who the Steelers are. Who are they now? So I think that they can turn it around. Now them beating the Saints is kind of tough for me to kind of jump
Hmm.
all over that because the Saints are they're not doing too well right now. They're kind of hurting as a team.
Yeah.
But the Steelers did pretty good. I mean, Kenny Pickett, it's a nice quiet game, 18 to 30 for 99 yards. I mean, 199 yards. I think he's going to have to step that production up because that's a lot of throws and only
Hmm.
18 completions. And it's not any of the numbers. None of the numbers really jump off the page to you. I mean, Najee Harris 20 carries for 99 yards, 5 yard average. So that's not
Yeah.
bad. But I think that they're going to really have to generate some more offense through the air. But the Steelers' way was, hey, let's run the ball and play
Hmm.
stout defense.
Yeah.
If that's the way if they're going back to that style of play, then hey, they can go a long way. Just
Right.
kind of bludgeon other teams to death. Nice, slow, methodical drives, but they capitalize with points. But I'm not really sold on them 100% just yet because, like I said, the production, quarterback wise, is just nothing that really jumps out at you just yet. So we'll
Hmm.
see. Hey, but a W is a W. So
Yeah.
no matter
But
how you get it,
right.
hey, that's what it is. So
But I can agree that I was very wrong about the Saints. I had the Saints as a sleeper team along with the Eagles. Now the Eagles, they're doing a phenomenal job, but the Saints, I thought the Saints were coming in how their offense was built, and of course you know how their defense is. I thought the Saints were going to be one of those teams to look out for, and they are unraveling right now. I mean, you draft Chris Olave, who I think was the best receiver in that draft class. He is the best receiver in that draft class from Ohio State. Michael Thomas, he stays injured. Then they have Jarvis Landry. Where is he? I don't know what's going on. They have a lot of receivers, and of course Kamara. But who? What are we getting? What is their identity? I don't understand. Andy Dalton, there's games where he did do well, and then games he didn't do well. And then Jameis, I believe Jameis is injured. I don't know what's going on in the philosophy of this
Mhm.
team. And then they put Taysom Hill at tight end now. And I thought that he's doing good for himself, but I don't understand what this team looks like um as a whole. Like I don't know what their identity is. And I had very high hopes for the Saints. I thought the Saints the Bucks were gonna battle it out this season. And it looks like they're not going to do that. The Saints are just not the team like I thought they were going to be. But for the Steelers, like I think the Steelers can find a way to garner up some wins. They have a chance. They do have
yep.
a good shot to compete, go in there and make something happen because Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, regardless of you had questions at the beginning of the year. Oh, how do they look? But they always find a way to get into that wild card. I'm telling you, they always find a way, and I feel like they are going to do that. And they're getting healthier. They're starting to get people back. They're starting to get that same feel again. Of course, there's going to be questions. I think Kenny Pickett, he's a rookie quarterback. There's a lot at stake for him, and they just have to keep working with him. Najee has to continue to find lanes and get up in the middle, start getting more yards and different things like that. O-line still has to continue to play better. Defensively, they have to continue to play better. Well, but Mike Tomlin's never lost. I mean, he's never had a losing season. That says a lot. I mean, even when there's a lot of questions, he's never had a losing season. But Jeremiah, to you, how wrong were we about the Saints? I mean, how wrong were we about the Saints?
Just like you pointed to your point before, they have a missing identity there. They don't know who their quarterback is going to be going forward, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to look for them a new quarterback in the upcoming draft because
Yeah, there's a lot
honestly,
of options.
right now, these fans, they know only one thing when it came to even before. They had Drew Brees. They know what it's like to be winning. They don't know about these seasons where it's going right now. It
Mm-hmm.
is so new to them. This is a whole new team right now. You have Jarvis Landry, but he's not out there. Michael Thomas, he doesn't really see the field too much because he's always getting
And
injured. And so much around, and then you expect the new coach that's coming in right after their coach just left right there. So their identity is really loose right now, and I feel like they need to start from scratch, and they need to go in this draft and then kind of build themselves a great team. Of course, their defense can still handle it, but right now they need to find that niche and just get back to their culture, which is there.
And there's a lot of quarterbacks coming out. There's a lot of quarterbacks. I think you look at C.J. Stroud, you look at Hooker from Tennessee, you look at Bryce Young coming from Alabama, you look at TCU's quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks to look forward to. And there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be looking for some quarterbacks. And I think the Saints are going to be on that list because, like you said, you come from Drew Brees and what Drew Brees did for that organization, and he retires, and now there's this uncertainty. Now,
Jasmine, one quick point on that.
Yeah.
So with the Saints, and some of the Saints fans might not want to admit this, but when their coach just left, when their head coach just recently left, yeah. So when Sean Payton left, the Saints are in a rebuilding situation now, because right now what I see from the Saints, they are just, it's like this. I don't know what they have, because even if this new coach decides that, we're going to draft a new quarterback,
he was their defensive coordinator.
Okay, and that
now
me,
head coach.
To me, what's really ironic about that team was built off of one of the most intricate offenses, one of the most sophisticated offensive schemes in the league. And so you switch the identity with the defensive head coach. Now that finesse game is not his game. That's not his. So now it seems like a disorganized mess now. So for me, I think that they're going to have to, I don't care if they get a new quarterback, I don't care what they get. If they don't figure out what their team identity is, you're going to see the same results next year, and the next year and the year after that, because defensively, they were one of the top defenses just recently. Top defense. And they're not that now.
Yeah, but they lost a lot of pieces. Like the ex linebacker CJ Gardner, he's an ex Gator. He's now with the Eagles, and look what he's doing with the Eagles. So you lose valuable pieces like that. And of course, losing Sean Payton and his coaching philosophy is a big deal. But they need a quarterback dad. Like I thought Jameis. We thought a lot about Jameis, but we thought Jameis was gonna go in and have a better season. I thought he was going to be in a much better system. Turns out that's not the case. And then you get Andy Dalton, and then it's just all over the place. Taysom Hill is at tight end, which I think is a good move because he seemed like that kind of tight end kind of guy. But they, in order to start to turn this organization around, they need to get a more consistent quarterback. There's a lot of young quarterbacks coming out in this draft. C.J. Stroud, like I mentioned, Hooker from Tennessee, Bryce Young. A lot of those guys are coming out. You need to go get one of those guys. You have to go get one. But
Alvin Kamara yesterday, 8 carries for 26 yards.
Yeah, they're all all over the place.
I mean, under 20 yards passing. So with one of the more dynamic running backs,
they're not getting the ball to him like Drew Brees was getting the ball to him.
One of the more dynamic running backs in the league, you're not even utilizing them. So to me, just like I say, this is my whole thing about them. I mean, you can draft a new quarterback, you can get a new quarterback, but what is your direction? Because to me, that's going to be
minded coach,
someone to come in to take, because hey, it's obviously not working right now. So you're going to have to find somebody to come in there to kind of help with that, as a Belichick had McDaniels. McDaniels was the orchestrator of that offense, and he had great ones before that.
Well, I don't know about that yet, because he's the coach for the Raiders.
But you got to think. But look, most of the coaches who left the Patriots were not necessarily good NFL coaches. Most of them were.
Flores, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying most. If you look at the history, most of them were not good coaches other places. Now Patricia is actually not doing so bad, but those coaches were not necessarily really good coaches when they go somewhere else.
Yeah, this would be a good topic for maybe next week or a week after one of the shows. We should talk about how good, what is the record of defensive coaches being head coaches? How good are they? Because we see, Todd Bowles, like I know, Dad, you've gotten frustrated with him with certain things. And then we look at the Saints situation, a lot of these defensive coordinators becoming coaches, and the teams are not doing so well. Yeah. I just have questions. But
back in the day, well, you got one. Bill Belichick is the ultimate defensive coach, and he's considered arguably the best coach in history.
That's right now. Yeah, their coach was the 49ers defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and also you got to remember Tony Dungy. He was a defensive, and he was a winning coach. So Yeah, he created the Tampa 2 defense. He created some really, really good defense, like historical defenses that
Yep.
your quarterback didn't have to score too many points.
Right.
So hey, so that goes to show you that defense does win championships, but you got to sprinkle in some offense somewhere.
Absolutely. But that wraps up First Impression Sports Talk. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Jeremiah. We're going to definitely keep watching football. It's getting crazier. And then college football is getting to that crunch time. We're heading into the playoffs and see who's going to make it in the top 4. Basketball still going on, hockey. And then the World Cup is coming up. So we're going to talk about that. I'm really excited for that. That starts next Monday. So I'm really excited where the United States is going to be playing Wales. So I'll definitely be watching that. I'll probably give you guys some updates on that. Go Team USA for the World Cup, but I don't think they're going to win the World Cup. But thank you to the production team. Thank you, Remy. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Oren. Shout out to everyone in the Leon Thomas group. That wraps up Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk. See you guys next time.